Howdy, partners! Emo Cat Dad here, hanging out with you, bringing you another edition of Emo Cat Dad Listens. If you're new here, then what I do is every day of 2024, I vow to check out a new band or artist. I check out 4 songs from across their discography, give you my initial thoughts on those songs, rank the songs, and then, of course, give you my overall thoughts on the artist based on what I just heard. Today's artist, as you can see right there, is Orville Peck. Now, I had heard the name Orville Peck in certain circles. I knew he was more of a country artist, but he was being propped up by like alternative press and rock sound and publications like that I generally enjoy the music they cover. So I was intrigued to say the least. So when someone finally came out and suggested that I do Orville Peck, I knew I had to get to it at some point. Honestly, it took me a little longer than I would have thought, but what better time than now? So what am I expecting to get from Orville Peck? Well, I guess I'm expecting some like alternative country, maybe like the y'alternative sound, like we've seen some bands do. Of course, Beartooth had the song with Hardy. Alex Melton does great YouTube videos where he does country versions of popular scene music songs, so maybe on that wavelength. Full disclosure up front, I am not a country music fan. I'm that type of person that when you're around me and someone's like, what kind of music do you want to listen to right now? I'll say anything but country. It's just not for me. I like pop music, so if it's more like the pop country, like early Taylor Swift, I can listen to that all day. But straight up country, no. And given Orville Peck's appearance, I'm assuming it's going to be more straight up country based than pop based, but I guess we're going to find out together. So his first album, Pony, came out back in 2019, and that album holds his most streamed song, Dead of the Night.
Dark Hollow Town, Carson City Line.
So vocally, this is super strong. It musically definitely has that country tone, but I also hear some Motown in there, which I do enjoy, so that's a big plus. And honestly, the lyrics are really good as well. There are some repetitive parts that I run into a little bit. If you've watched these before, you know, don't like repetition in my songs. But it's not too bad. The outro is kind of like this little like banjo finger picking part. Really dug that part a whole lot. But ultimately, this does lean more country than anything else. So although I can appreciate certain parts of the song, overall, it's just not for me. In 2020, Orville Peck released a EP called Show Pony. So I was going to check out the most popular song from that until I seen there's a track called Legends Never Die with one Shania Twain, the OG princess of country pop. So I decided I need to check that out in hopes that I get some pop in here.
Baby, we've been up all night. I built that road.
I get a little bit of pop, but this is most definitely a straight up country track. As far as the feature goes, Shania does sound good. I really enjoyed the parts where her and Orville were doing like the call and return style vocals where they'd say a line and back and forth. That worked really well for me. When they harmonized and sang at the same time, it did not work as well for me. I just feel like their voices are too separate and distinct that I really couldn't enjoy them singing together. I was kind of just listening in on one specific voice. So the lyrics aren't nearly as strong here. They do take a backseat to the vocal performances, but honestly, the vocal performances are good by both artists that, you know, I kind of get it. So next up, in the same year, 2020, it looks like Orville Peck released a Spotify single. So only on Spotify. So I don't know how popular the song is, but it seems to get a decent number of streams, called Small Town Boy. Okay, so this track is pretty stripped back. Now, this did come out in 2020, so I'm guessing it's probably as a result of the pandemic, but it just didn't feel the same as the last 2 tracks did. There's also a lot of lyrical repetition here, which of course I do bump into on this track. It's mostly in the outro. However, I will say the outro also did feature my favorite part of the song. It had this kind of like angelic backing vocal that I latched onto and just really enjoyed that aspect of it. But overall, yeah. Orville Peck's most recent album came out in 2022 called Bronco. So I checked out the most streamed track from that. It was called Come On Baby Cry. Okay, so this is still country, but it's basically as close to my wheelhouse as a song in this genre is probably going to get. It had a little bit of doo-wop influence, similar to the Motown earlier on in Dead of Night, so I did appreciate those sections of it. And the lyrics are strong on this track and don't repeat, so that's a big plus that none of the other songs had. The lyrics were either strong and repeated, or there wasn't much repetition, but it lacked that lyrical sensibility that I enjoyed. Alright, so those were 4 Orville Peck songs I checked out. Let's go ahead and rank them right now. At number 1, we're going to do Come On Baby Cry. Not hard. I'm a big lyrics and vocal guy. Orville Peck sounded great on all these tracks, so vocals wasn't going to be the deciding factor, so naturally lyrics need to be. And like I said, Come On Baby Cry had no repetition and strong lyrics, which none of the other tracks can state, so that's why it gets the number 1 spot. At number 2, I'm going to do Dead of Night. I do feel like this was probably Orville's best vocal performance on any of these tracks. But he sounded so good that the difference was so minimal between them. But it had that Motown tinge to it that I really did enjoy, along with Come On Baby Cry, which of course landed at number 1. So this is a natural pick for number 2. At number 3, I'm going to do Legends Never Die, featuring the legend herself, Shania Twain. Both vocal performances are so good on this one, and I really did love the call and return vocals. Honestly, if they did that the whole track, this could have easily been number 1, I think. But the fact that we do get some harmonizing that, like I said, just didn't work for me, made it fall back a couple spots. And at 4, Small Town Boy. Like I said, this one was kind of stripped back in comparison to the others. Not blaming Orville, I'm sure it was pandemic related. Probably couldn't get as many people in the studio as he would have had normally. But ultimately, I think it was more so the repetition at the end that just made this the obvious choice for the bottom of the list. Alright, so those were my thoughts on the songs. What are my overall thoughts on Orville Peck as an artist? Orville is super talented. I really enjoy his vocals. He can do no wrong. So I get why he has such a rabid fan base. But ultimately, this isn't what I expected. I expected more alternative, and although I did get some, Motown doo-wop feels, which I did not expect and I enjoyed, I like to see the guitar a little more front and center because, I'm a guitar guy, and Orville didn't have that. So, although I can appreciate all his music for being so great, it just doesn't speak to my ear specifically. That being said, Orville Peck, super talented, and he completely deserves all the success that he's had, and hopefully he gets many more because, that last album, 2022, gotta be due for another one. Alright guys, thank you so much for hanging out and watching to the very end of this video. I appreciate it oh so much. I'm your friendly neighborhood Emo Cat Dad, and I hope you'll do me a favor and help me out. I'm doing one of these every day of 2024 where I check out a new band or artist, so I need your suggestions. Like I said, Orville Peck was a suggestion, so get in those comments now. Give me suggestions of other bands or artists you think I should be checking out. Whether it's a rock artist, a pop artist, a hip-hop artist, a country artist, because clearly I'm going in that. Maybe you have a country pop star that you know that I will absolutely enjoy based on everything I said. Please let me know. Leave it in the comments. And while you're down there, please leave me your thoughts on Orville Peck. What songs do you really enjoy? Are you excited for a future album? What about his sound works for you or doesn't work for you? Be a part of the conversation. I want to talk to you guys. And last but certainly not least, there's quite a bit of backlog, so if you want to go back and check those videos out, I'd appreciate it very much. But even if you just don't want to go back because it's too time consuming, I get it. There's over 90 at this point. Just, stick around for the ride. And the best way to do that is if you cut my wrist and hit subscribe. Emo Cat Dad signing off until tomorrow. I want to hear you sad.